Hey there, welcome to Hermit Haven. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jackie. We're so excited to invite you into our safe space. Hermit Haven is like a cozy little hideout where we can celebrate being confident in ourselves as we find happiness in quiet moments.
So grab your favorite blanket and your favorite drink, and let's dive into today's episode.
Hi, I'm Jackie. Welcome back to Hermit Haven.
Hi, I'm Ashley. We're so excited to have you this week. We are talking about, let's just story time here. When you're planting a garden, right? We're in spring, so we're all, getting excited. We're about to plant those gardens. It's going to take some time, right? It's not just going to happen overnight, right? Like you're going to plant it, you're going to put those seeds in, you're going to water it. I don't know. I don't really plant gardens. Jackie probably has a better idea here. Jackie has beautiful gardens, right? But it's rewarding, right? The time, the process, the watering, the sunlight it needs, all that stuff is really rewarding, waiting and waiting. But it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of is this going to work out? And sometimes it doesn't. And then you're disappointed, right? But guess what? Things are going to happen the way it happens, right? That little seed's going to grow. Things are going to work out in that garden, just like your real life. In your real life, the things you're doing today is planting seeds for the things you want in that future. Whatever it is, you can have it. But it's about your daily day life, right? And sometimes you plant seeds and you're not going to see the results this season, and sometimes you're not going to see the results for years to come. Are you going to give up on yourself? Are you going to give up on those seeds, right? Because it wasn't happening now? Or are you going to wait for the reward of that garden?
Yeah. Whenever people tell me I used to say I don't have a green thumb, right? Like I have a brown thumb, I kill everything. But 99% of the time, it's because you just aren't watering it enough. Like you're not giving the plant like the seeds what they need or the plant or whatever. So yeah, of course, if you're not watering the plant, it's gonna die. Like if you don't feed yourself and like give yourself water, what's gonna happen? Like you're not gonna survive. And that's with anything, with any idea of something that you want to do, any goal, like if you're not consistently working towards it, it doesn't mean you have to put a ton of time and a ton of effort. I'm not out there like in my garden when I do garden, like spending hours or even an hour. I literally am usually out there watering it for like 20 minutes and then coming back inside. Like I don't even really do much else. Like that is it. And I just wait for the plants to come. But yeah, it takes a while. It takes a while for a tomato plant to go from a seed to a plant, and then bees have to like pollinate little flowers, and then you got to wait for the tomatoes to come, and then they have to turn from green to red. Like there's a process, and you have to wait for each thing in the process to happen before you can pick the tomato and be like, look what I made, look what I did. I would always take pictures of my like vegetables and stuff, and send them to like my dad or my grandma, and they're like, we're excited for me. um, but yeah, I just think it's such a good uh, topic, because especially because we're it's the beginning of the year and a lot of people have like made these goals for the year, and now they're like, do I really want these goals, or can I really do this, right? If it's something that you've never done, you're always questioning yourself, like, can I actually do this? But the thing is, and I'm going to talk about this dang book every single episode we have, because every single thing that we talk about, I swear to you, is in the book that I've listened to like 5 or 6 times this year already. But he talks about planting seeds in the book, and he talks about how like we know how long it takes for a seed, like a plant seed, to like fully grow, right? But there's no way to know how long an idea seed, like how long it takes for that to go from idea to you
Mm-hmm.
seeing your like fruition, right? And so that's why a lot of people give up, because they don't know and they don't realize like how close that they are to their end goal or to hitting, their next goal, because they just give up. And the thing is, like, you have to really like envision what you want and just do those little tiny consistent things each day, each week, whatever, however long it takes, however much time you can give it. It's just consistency. Like that's all it is. It's not like to be perfect. You don't have to take a ton of time. It's just consistency.
I think too, like when you say the word consistency, a lot of people are afraid. Like, let's be honest. And a lot of people are not good at consistency, right? That's a skill that unfortunately takes time and takes effort to gain and to build. And so, yeah, you might not see the results the way you want to see the results because you don't have that skill yet to be consistent, right? And I think it's understanding that what you want is how you can have it, you just have to work for it. And so consistency might look different on other people because they don't have that skill yet. So consistency might look for one person every day, no matter what, 5 a.m. on the grind, right? Whatever the goal is, 5 a.m. on the grind, they're on their way, right? Because his C might look like, maybe I'll schedule 5 minutes at some point today, right? Like it's going to look different on everyone. I think when you're looking for this like end result, you have to realize it matters, right? And you have to do all the things. And I think sometimes you have to like kind of be like you would say delusional, right? Like kind of just have that blind faith that it's going to work out, right? And I think that's what's part of this like planting seeds. It's that blind faith. It's going to work
Yeah.
out. And I think the worst part is when you're like planting seeds, and right, we're going on this whole garden metaphor, and something happens, right? Maybe a tornado, hospital sholem, right? Some birds eat up your garden. I don't know, something realistic here. I don't have a garden, right? But like in your real life,
Or
something
else.
may happen, right? You may have the job you have unfortunately isn't working out, or the relationship you have isn't working out, or you get a promotion, but the promotion might be 10,000 miles away, right? Like things change, right? But you don't need to change. Your goals don't need to change. You just need to adapt. And I think that's sometimes what it is too. Like we lose this motivation because we don't know how to adapt. We don't know how to like make it work, right? Like when you're gardening, right? If something's not working, like maybe your plant's falling over, you'll help it raise itself up, right? Like you're not going to just like let it go. You're not going to be like, all right, whatever, you're just going to die off. It's fine, right? Like you want it to grow. So you're going to put in the effort and you're going to change it and adapt it and make it work, right? Let's say you have an animal problem, then you're going to grow maybe, a plant that animals don't like, or you're going to like put a fence around it, or whatever it is, right? And I think that's the thing about why we get so distracted is not just because we don't see the end result, we don't know how to adapt. We don't, right? We don't know what to do. And sometimes it takes time. Like things that take maybe 5 to 10 minutes, we don't know how to actually go conquer it because we don't know how to like, should I do it this way? Should I do it that way? Like, what's the best way? And then you're sitting there like pondering it, but that's part of the process. That is part of the process, right? We're all going to do it differently. We're going to jump into it differently. We're going to be different about it, right? But your garden is still going to grow if you show up the way you want to show up and keep that promise for yourself.
Yeah, I also think consistency has a lot to do with the systems that we have in place to stay on track. Like a
Yep.
lot of us don't have any system in place for life. And I've been there, so like I totally get it and I'm still working on it. But I think like if you have, let's say your goal is gardening, right? We'll just use that since we're talking about it. You need to know like what kind of plants do I want to have in there and where am I going to plant them? And then you have to research them, like how much, space do I need between each one and when do I have to water them? Do I need to give it fertilization? When does that happen? And you have to plan that out. You have to have a time in the morning or after the sun goes down when you can go out there and water your plants. Like you have to have a system, just like me with meal planning, right? I want to eat like a certain amount of protein each day. That takes time and effort. I don't just throw it together. Like it takes time and effort for me to meal plan
Mhm.
and then meal prep most of the time so that I know that I can get where I want to get. Because if I'm just throwing things out there as I go throughout my day, it's going to be really hard for me to get that much protein in, right? Unless I'm just like drinking a crazy amount of protein shakes. And so you have to have like a system and be a little organized when you're trying to be consistent. And I know that that's hard for some people and I get it. And so you're just going to sometimes have to trial and error like how can I keep this system? Am I a paper person? Am I going to do this on a Google thing? Do I need like 50 million timers and alarms for myself to
I'm
remind
laughing.
myself?
I'm
You know,
laughing because me and Jackie just spent 20 minutes talking about timers before we got
timers.
on this thing. Like literally me and Jackie every day are like, oh my God, so what if we did it this way? What if we planned it this way? Right? Because I think sometimes we see that like this isn't
Yeah,
working. We're trying to
yeah.
do it the way we're told sometimes, and it's not working because we are who we are. And we
Everyone's different.
yes.
The way that Ashley and I plan are different. And it semi works for us some of the
You
time.
should see us plan Hermit Haven.
I have alarms to remind me 10 minutes before I have to leave to go get my children and they go to separate schools. Like I have alarms that go off all day, every day to remind me to do things that I normally do, but it's just like, it's also part of it is like decision fatigue, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to remember to go do this and remember to do that. Well, that's part of the system though.
Yeah.
We should have systems that are like, doing it for us. That's what my alarms are for. My alarm will tell me. I don't need to know what time it is. My alarm's going to go off and tell me. But it's the same thing. You can do that for anything. You can not just an alarm. Like, it doesn't
So
have
you
to be
could
an alarm. But
say,
I'm saying you have Sundays. Like, I reset on or whatever. I plan on Sunday so that I know which days I'm going to work out, and which days I'm going to meal plan, and which days I need a meal prep, and whatever it is for you. Your goal is probably different, but like, you just have a system, and then it's easier to plant the seeds, have the consistency along the way to get to your goal, you know?
I think too, like you're saying, like I think for us, we're talking about timers, we're talking about planets, right? There's tools, right? That's what it's about,
Yeah.
right? I think it's being brave enough to say, okay, I want this. What can I do to have whatever this is, right? That's what it's about. It doesn't matter if it's a physical goal, if it's an emotional goal, if it's like a life goal, right? Like, right? Sometimes people have bigger goals. Like right now, our goals might be just like how to balance our life out, right? Some people, are listening to this and they may be a single woman and they're in the dating field and they're trying to figure out how to, find their partner for life, right? That's a huge goal, right? But they're planting
Hmm.
seeds. They're going on dates. They're meeting different people. They're figuring out what they don't like, what they do like, right? And it might take 5 years, it might take 2 years, right? And so I think when we're listening to this, I think really think about like it's not just the little things, it's also the big things. Like that's what planting seeds are about. It's being able to say, okay, I planted these seeds and I planted a beautiful garden, or I planted these seeds and it didn't work out this season, maybe, but it doesn't mean it's not going to work out next season if I retry to plant those seeds. Something I was saying to Jackie, and I don't know how much this relates, but I feel like this does relate, is sometimes you meet someone or do something like you go to experience or skill, whatever it is, right? And that plants that seed for you later to meet that person again in a different setting where you need them to be. Or you plant that seed, you're planting that seed for a friendship, you're planting that seed for like maybe a life experience. Like maybe one time as a kid you rode a horse, but all you can think about, I don't know why I always go back to horses. I feel like I never got to ride a horse and it was always like a goal.
I
Anywho,
love that.
but I always go back to horses. But I feel like maybe like one time as a kid you rode a horse at a birthday party, and now as an adult you have your own money and you're like, oh, I want to go ride horses because I love that one time, right? That birthday party planted that seed, right? I think so many times we don't see these things. Like we don't see like how one experience is linked to maybe another experience that happens 25 years later, right? Like, and sometimes people meet in rooms that you were never in, but they know about you and they connected over you. Like I remember one time my old lady I nanny for, this is like 3, 4 years later, it was like, hey, I'm actually like, this might be really random. We haven't talked to like 4 years, but she's like, I'm at a conference right now with your uncle. And she's like, I'm having the best time. Like, I just want to let you know, like, I met him and like we've been having great conversations. Like, he's so awesome. And I was just like, that's so funny, right? Like, you don't know where your seeds are going to plant. You don't know where your seeds are going to land, right? Seeds get picked up by wind and they move. You can
Yeah.
move mountains with the seeds you plant. And I think that's why we're talking about seeds, right? They're so little, they're so small, but they're so powerful, right? Seeds could take over your entire land, right? You can plant a few seeds and you can have forests of trees and no more houses, right? Trees can go through houses, right? They're so strong, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy that this little thing, right? And I think too, like, we're just not talking about plants. Like, think about trees, right? Like, trees live hundreds of years. Like, there's every year they grow, there's a lifeline, there's a ring around them, right? That little seed keeps growing, 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 but it requires water, it requires all these things. And sometimes, just like the winter, the leaves fall off. Like, you don't see their beauty still happening. You don't see them still rising and they're growing, right? And sometimes it happens to you too. Like, sometimes you're in a rest mode, right? You're in the sluggish rest mode. You're like, I'm just not moving forward. And that happens, right? Your seeds are like you're just resting, right? That happens. That's part of it. But you've already planted your seeds. And if you still want it, your seeds are there. You just gotta replant yourself, re-go, remove.
Yeah. I think one of the best things you can do is really practice putting that faith into yourself, because ultimately, sometimes you're the only person, most of the time, you're the only person that can see your goal the way that you see it and see the end result that you really want the way that you see it. You're the only one. And sometimes that's really hard because I could be so excited about something and say it to Ashley. And even though Ashley is, one of my best friends, like she can't see it like I can see it. And so I'm way more excited probably than Ashley. She's going to act excited, but like I'm way more actually excited than she probably feels because it's not her goal, it's mine. And I have to have enough faith in myself to be like, this is what I want to do and go after it. And it starts with that seed, right? I was in my book, he talks about like these famous people, like the Wright brothers, right? They invented the airplane. Don't you think people thought they were completely nuts when they were like, I'm going to invent this thing that flies in the air and people can sit in it and fly? People were probably like, no, you're definitely not going to do that. It was a little seed that they had and they worked towards it, right? And people thought they were crazy and they weren't, validated. I feel like we all need validation in this world these days. Like we're all looking for people to agree with us. And I get it because it's like a human nature thing. But you need to be able to like have a faith in yourself and validate yourself that like, yes, this is my end goal. And sometimes that means telling less people about the seed that you're planting, unfortunately, because people take their own fears and project it onto whatever you're doing. So if I'm like, hey, Ashley, I'm going to go lose 50 pounds. I do not have 50 pounds to lose, but and Ashley's like thinking to herself, well, I've tried that before and I couldn't do it. And then she's going to be like, well, you look great as you are. Like, you don't need to lose 50 pounds, and she's just trying to protect me, but it's not protecting me. It's holding me back, and then your head starts to limit yourself. And we are not limiting ourselves this year. My word of the year is limitless. We're being limitless this year. And so I'm just taking this really far, but like having that faith. And if you believe in God and you need to put that, and it's easier to put your faith in God to have the strength that you need to like continue on putting the consistency and to work towards that end goal, then do that. But like ultimately practice just putting that faith in yourself, knowing that you can do it. There was something else I was going to say, but now I forgot, but that was my thought process.
I think, it's for you to feel, not for someone else to feel, is what I like to say when you're going through something. Like, it's not for someone else to feel, it's for you. Like, you feel all your feelings first, then you could tell whoever. But everything you said, I want to like talk about, I think this wasn't brought up yet, is the behind the scenes work. You don't see how much time and effort someone puts into something, how much actually takes. Like, you see our podcast every week. Like, we are here every week. We are consistently here every week on Wednesday, right? No matter what. But we are struggling in other areas. But we know that we are planting seeds in other areas besides this seed that we've been growing for over a year now, right? We water it. But you guys also don't like, I don't know, we started this and we were doing this every other week. It was not every week because we knew that's all we could handle was every other week, right? Like it takes time, it takes effort, but there's things that are happening behind the scenes, right? Jackie is amazing at making sure that there's a cover photo, there's descriptions, there's hashtags, like there's posts for all these episodes, right? We're working together to make sure we have episode ideas. We're
That's
working
Ashley's
together.
thing. Don't let her fool you.
They're Jackie's too. Don't let her fool you. Right? I'm working on editing these episodes. I'm making sure that we're actually showing up to our commitments to record. Right? I'm making sure these episodes get up by Wednesday. Right? Like we have our own commitments, right? And you don't see that. All you see is the end result of that podcast getting up every Wednesday. You don't see us telling our children, "Hey, we'll be right with you." We have to record for an hour. Like. And our children understand, obviously, because they see like how passionate we are. And I think that's something about it too, right? Is behind the scenes, sometimes you need that cheer group, right? You may not see someone else's cheer group, but like, if you went and said, "Hey, I'm building a garden," and you show me a picture, of course I'm going to cheer you on, right? Like we have those cheer groups too, and I think that's part of it, right? When you're building seeds, it's okay to go to other people for cheer, and it's okay to stay with yourself, right? Like I think it's start your seeds, start your garden on your own, like. If something you're passionate about and you need, start on your own. But if you need support, go get support. It's okay. You don't have to do everything. Jackie said this today about something else, and I laughed. But she said, "I'm not trying to be a hero here, right?" Like
taking medicine.
yeah, I think that's what it was. It was about Tylenol. But I love that line. Like you're like, "I'm not trying to be a hero here, right?" If you have an idea and you don't know how to execute it, and you think it's going to change lives, don't try to be a hero and figure it out on your own. Go find someone that's educated. Go find someone that can show you how, right? If you want to become, I don't know, like you want to become a DJ, right? Not maybe everyone, maybe someone in your life isn't like no one you know is a DJ, right? Like, right? But you think it's so cool. You listen to DJ music, you like love the videos, like that's something you want to do, right? But no one around you is a DJ. What are you going to do? You're going to sit in your small town and just keep watching videos? That's an option. Or go find someone that can teach you the skills you want to learn, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's what it is about planting seeds, right? Is you're never, it could take, just like doctors, they go to school for like 10, 20 years to become a doctor, right? They're planting seeds. They didn't
Yeah.
just show up to be a doctor, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes it starts before that. They're like, we're a little kid and they were like, I want to help the world because this experience happened, right?
Yeah.
And
I
I
also,
think, oh,
oh,
go ahead.
go ahead. No, for our podcast specifically, I wrote like a little like goal,
Hmm.
like a huge goal that is just like way far out there that would take a lot of work and a lot of like magic to like come together, but it's like a goal that I really want for our podcast and I shared it with Ashley. But I think like looking at that every day is really helpful for me to continue to see because it's easy, especially if it's like a crazy goal, right? Like a crazy out there, you have no idea how it's ever going to happen type of thing. I think it's easy to like lose sight of it because it feels so far away. And so being able to write it, and we used to kind of do this. Remember the Rachel Hollis journals? Like
Yeah,
we
I
used to
still do
write.
it though.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like you, every single day you write the same goals until one of those goals is either done or just doesn't align anymore. You just write your goal every single day. You write
I
it down.
I haven't done it in a while, but like I think I do similar, but still have it in my thing. And you would like write five things as if they were happening, or like if it's
Yep.
positive, like it already
Yep. Like
happened, but like,
I am
hold on,
XYZ.
now I
Yeah.
want to pull
Or
mine up.
I'm so thankful that I achieved,
XYZ.
saving $50,000 in my bank account. Like, I don't know, whatever your goal is, like, but yeah, I just think it's so helpful for me every day because life is so busy. And yes, I'm working on this, but I want to be able to see even a bigger goal, than the just the little things that we do every day, if that makes
Right.
sense. And so that helps me do the little things. And I also want to say, like, I used to be a very all or nothing person. And so if I messed up, I was like, oh, that's it. I messed up. I got to quit or like I got to start over on Monday or whatever it is. And it's like don't be like that. Like who cares? You messed up? Cool. Everyone messes up. That's life. Like we tell our kids all the time, it's okay. It was an accident, right? So like it's okay. Don't have to be an all or nothing mindset. Have a goal. Work towards it. If you don't get something done one day or one week, cool. Just continue on when you can continue on. Like that's the consistency part. It's not stopping when you mess up. Sorry.
I
I was
think
thinking that.
no, I love that. I think too. Sorry, I got distracted, but I can't sign into my good notes right now. But I think too, like besides like having a goal, like I don't know, like something with me, I was just being silly, but like Jackie and I have like our goals for our podcast, and I literally just put it as like a group, like our texting background, like so we could just see it every day, right? Like having little reminders here and there is so important, right? I think we get so, and we talk about this a lot, right? A lot of our episodes all connect in a random way, even though we have like a topic that's the main topic, like they all connect, right? And I think so many times that we are like doing the daily day life, we forget there's more. We forget there's more. We forget we exist even. Like it's crazy to think, but like if you're just like doing dishes, laundry, and taking care of your children, you forget you exist sometimes because everybody else needs your time, right? Like, and and maybe you don't have kids, maybe you have a dog, maybe you have a work schedule, like whatever it is, right? You're being taken away from your mindset of focusing on what your goals are, right? Because these things are urgent, they need to be done now. But I think sometimes it's saying, okay, I have other, like, yes, this could be urgent. I say quote unquote urgent. Like sometimes it's not really urgent, right? Like sometimes things can wait, right? Like things don't have to be happen now. Like we don't need to go on a rabbit hole about something that's going to happen 2 years from now. Like things can wait sometimes. And we need to say, okay, am I using my time wisely to get to where I am? Because sometimes it's just our time, right? And I think sometimes it's our commitment to ourselves, right? We're breaking a promise to ourselves to show up for ourselves because we're too committed to show up for everyone else around us. And that just shows who
Mhm.
you are as a person. Let's be honest. That shows that you care so much that you're willing to sacrifice your time. But we're not doing that this year. Just like Jackie said, we're being limited. We're not doing that this year either, ladies. We are showing up for ourselves. It doesn't matter if you're setting a timer every day for 2 hours. It's if it's saying after my son goes down for a nap, I'm taking 30 minutes to myself, non-negotiable. It doesn't matter if I'm saying I'm taking 15 minutes to myself before I go to bed to read a book, right? And
Yep.
again, this is something I actually talked about with my mother the other day, but when we're saying, I think there's a difference too between hobbies and habits and doing like me time. Like me time is, yes, maybe scrolling, maybe doing these things, but make sure you're also doing stuff that excites your brain. So there's two types of like me time is the way I like to think about it. There's some that stimulate your brain and some that relax your brain, right? Make sure in the day you're fulfilling your day with things that excite your brain. So that might be working to your goal, planting your garden, right? So maybe your goal is to take your family to a Disney vacation. So maybe your goal throughout the day is to learn, figure out how to make a side hustle, right? That's going to excite your brain, right? Because that is your goal. That is what you're planting those seeds for. But then make sure too that you're giving back to yourself and planting those seeds in you by taking time to relax your brain. It could be doing a puzzle, it could be Sudoku, it could be like coloring, right? It could be music. It could be something that truly shuts off your brain. Because when we're not shutting off our brain, it doesn't matter how hard you're working for that seed, you're going to feel so consumed by everything else around you that it doesn't matter what you're working for. You just need to be done. You're shut off, right? How many times do we crash out and burn, right? Because we're not, because we're overloaded with nutrition. We're overloaded with all the things we need to do, just like plants, right? If you overload them with water, if you overload them with all these other things, right? Like if you give them all the wrong nutritions, like all the things, right? They're not going to grow, right? It's not a perfect science, but we also know that you can't overload something, just like ourselves. We can't overload ourselves, right? I know you want to do everything, but you can't do everything every single day of the week. So make
Mhm.
sure when you're thinking about your schedule, and I think that's too, it comes down to it. And I'm gonna be honest, like I'm not the best at it sometimes, right? Because I get overwhelmed by mood, feelings, energy, what's going on, right? That I'm not always intentional with my day. I'm not always spending my time correctly, right? But if I am really being intentional, really thinking about it, really sitting down and being like, okay, what are the things I need to do today to get to where I want to be? And if you don't know where you want to be, start there. And it doesn't mean in 5 years, it doesn't mean in 6 years, it can mean in a week, it can mean by Christmas. Where do you want to be by Christmas with your family? Do you want to be, house with 4 Christmas trees? Do you want a house with 2 Christmas trees? Do you want to celebrate Hanukkah and have 5 menorahs? Okay, do you even own 5 menorahs? So if that's your goal, maybe you want to start looking at menorahs now, right? Like, whatever your goal is, it doesn't have to be now. It doesn't have to be a week. It could be whenever. But maybe write it down too. Like, these are the things I'm working for. How can I create seeds to get there?
Yeah, it's like working backwards.
It's always
Like,
working
I
backwards.
want this. What do I need to do to get there? And then sometimes that comes with a little bit of research of someone that's done it, or maybe it's something like brand new that you'll have to like juggle in your mind, and then you have to say, okay, well, I need to do XYZ, so when am I going to be able to do that? And then sometimes it's sacrificing some of your time in other places so that you can spend a little time on whatever it is, right? Like I
Yeah.
spend time working out. I want to feel better and I want to feel stronger, but that's sacrificing time from something else I could be doing. So it's just like figuring out what your end goal is, what your priorities are.
I think
Those
too,
steps in there.
you sometimes too, like you might need to run to then figure out how to actually get to where you're going. Like, let's say you're really itching, like to like start running. Maybe the goal is then maybe instead of like doing the research, you just need to go run because the
Yeah,
more
just
time you're
start it.
sitting on the couch thinking about it, you're just not doing it, right? And then maybe you'll realize when you start running, okay, I don't like running this way. I do like running here. Maybe I don't like running at this time because the traffic is busier. I want to run here, right? Like you'll
Yeah.
figure it out as you go. Like I think that's in any job, any experience, anything you have in life, like you'll grow confidence in what you do. But if you don't like start, and it's okay to take time, it's okay to take research because that is part of the seeds. But
Analysis paralysis.
also remember you can only take so much time, then it's just excuses.
Hmm. Yeah, no, very true. Very valid. Yeah. If you're someone that's just going to like sit there and research for months and months and months and never, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to actually take steps.
Yeah, and it
Yeah,
may be
I do like to have like a little bit of a plan. So I try to do that. And then, but you have to just get going.
And I think too, knowing yourself, and no matter like what we talk about, it's knowing yourself. So it might be accountability buddy, it might be a checklist, it might be a friend calling you, it might be your phone like having a focus mode every day at the same time to go on a walk, right? Like you'll find what is going to push you to get to where you are, but if you're not doing the things to plant the seeds, it won't even matter what tools you in like things you install, you know?
Yep, yep, yep. Absolutely. Gotta at least start walking
Yeah.
or running, whatever.
Growing that garden, planting the
Put
seeds, right?
the little seed in there.
But we love you all. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope that you really understand and take away from this episode. It doesn't matter what you're doing, every experience will lead you to where you need to be, but you just have to continue showing up to those experiences and showing up for yourself. Anything else you want to add, Jackie?
That's it. Love this.
I love this always. We love you guys. Just let us know that we're here every Wednesday. We want to know what you guys want to talk about. Let us know in our Facebook group. Let us know on Instagram if this is something that you really resonated with. Share this with a friend. And if there's anything else, let us know. Bye, y'all.
Thanks for spending time with us today and being part of our Hermit Haven community.
We hope you enjoyed our cozy chat and are inspired to embrace your inner hermit.
Remember, even in the quiet moments, you're never alone on this journey because we are truly all in this together.
So until next time, stay cozy, stay true to yourself, and keep spreading love wherever you go.
Bye for now.
We'll see you next time.